to the next assembly in our series on Peter. So, what do you say when someone asks you, "Who are you?" You probably tell them your name. Maybe how old you are. You might say what school you go to, what kind of things you enjoy. Maybe something about your family. When adults meet each other, they often ask, "What job do you do?" Let's have a look at some pictures of people, and I want to see if you can work out, who are they?
Who are they? Firefighters. Who are they? Chefs. Who are they? Doctors. Who are they? I don't know. Do you? Can we tell just by looking at them? They're not wearing a particular uniform. So how do we know? Who is this? It's Jesus. But who was he? What did he do?
We've heard how Peter was one of Jesus' disciples, 12 good friends who were chosen to be learners of Jesus. What did he think about who Jesus was? Let's look at some of the amazing things that Peter experienced.
Peter was often with Jesus when he did some of his healing miracles. People who were sick were made well. This story is about a girl. We don't know her name, but we know her father was called Jairus. And she got really ill, and they couldn't do anything to help her. And so the dad decided to send for Jesus. But unfortunately, before Jesus arrived, the little girl died, and everyone thought there was no hope. But when Jesus arrived at the house with Peter and some of the others, he was able to bring her back. Peter was amazed. This is an event that you might have heard of before. Crowds of people had come to listen to Jesus. They'd been listening all day and it was getting late. The people were hungry. The disciples wanted to send the people home, but Jesus said, "No, you give them something to eat." And the disciples couldn't understand it because they had no food. But then Andrew, Peter's brother, found a boy in the crowd who had some lunch. And this boy had 5 small loaves of bread and 2 fish, and he brought them to Jesus. It wasn't really very much. But Jesus took the bread and fish and said thank you to God and broke it. And there was enough bread and fish to go round the whole crowd, even with leftovers. Peter was amazed. And this event was something that Peter saw for himself. One day, the officials wanted to collect some tax money from Jesus and his disciples. The money needed to be paid to the government of those days. And there was a bit of a confusion about whether the disciples paid tax or not. And Jesus asked Peter to do something really strange. He said, "Peter, go and catch a fish. And the first fish that you will find will have a coin in its mouth." So that's what Peter did. He caught a fish, and inside you can see a coin. And it was a coin to pay for Peter's tax and for Jesus's tax. What an amazing thing to happen. Peter was amazed.
We are here in Peter's hometown of Capernaum. He saw many remarkable events around here. We call them miracles. You might remember that in our first assembly, we learnt that Peter's name means a rock. So let's hear about why Jesus used this name for Peter.
Peter and the other disciples had been with Jesus for a little while when Jesus asked his friends, "Who do people say that I am?" They replied, "Some people say that you are John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets." These people were messengers who had come to prepare for Jesus to come. Jesus asked his disciples, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the chosen one, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "How happy are you, Peter, for this was not just your own idea or thinking, but shown to you by my Father in heaven. I tell you, Peter, that you are a rock, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of evil will never destroy it," Jesus answered. Many people would listen to Peter and believe what he was telling them. Later on, he would tell them how Jesus died and rose again, and lots of people wanted to be followers of Jesus. Later still, Peter wrote some of the books in the Bible. He wrote this: "We have not followed stories that we made up, but we were there when it happened."
At the beginning, we talked about how our own identities are important. And for Christians, Jesus' identity is very important indeed. Some people think that Jesus was maybe a good teacher or a kind man. But Christians believe that Jesus really is God's Son, the Saviour of the world. And all through the Bible, we read about how Jesus did amazing things that would help people to learn about God, but how eventually he would die, he would become a sacrifice, he would rise to new life so that people could have a relationship with God as their Father. I wonder, what do you think?